Welcome to Cassia Dialogue, the video podcast brought to you from Cassia BC that aims to bring businesses across 16 countries of Central Asia and Southeast Asia region. A safe space where we invite industry heads, market leaders, and entrepreneurs to come on the show as Cassia loggers to share insights, industry tips with all our Cassia friends watching or listening in. And also with the intention to inspire, open up new conversations to ignite possibilities to dream again. And if you're a Cassia member, you will have access to the VIP lounge where you will receive mindset tricks that have helped them succeed in these trying times. But most importantly, offer suggestions on how you can scale and transfer across the 16 countries with sensitivity and finesse. Location, courtesy of Ikigai at the River Walk. Hello again, welcome everybody, Cassia friends and Cassia members back to the Cassia Dialogue. So today I'm really honored to bring to you Annie Chan. Now she has had 25 years of experience in events and consultation and organization. Also, she has had more than 12 years of events related training in schools as well as polytechnics. So you're also giving back to people, that's amazing. She has also moved into helping the community with her passion as president of the IWSCIS, that is International Women's Federation of Commerce and Industry in Singapore. Congratulations on that. She launched the BRIM initiative in 2018, and she has been on the advisory board of Lutheran Community Care Services, also the Rotary Club of Singapore East as club secretary, and her latest inclusion would be the start with Cassia BC, of course, as the events business director. This list is making me giddy. I have to ask you, before we even start any of our interview questions, how do you keep it up?
You are not the first time asking me this question, or rather, you're not the first person. Friends have asked me, there's only 24 hours. Yeah. Minus away your sleeping hours, how do you do it? So I tell them I find the time and I make the time. And also because of that, right, I guess sometimes my team members get very stressed out. It's like they say, oh, Andy will find and make the time. Doesn't mean that we have to do it. At the back of my mind, I wanted to tell you yes, but I say, y'all go with your pace. I know, and especially with pro bono, I cannot have that kind of expectation. So yeah, so I find time and I make time.
But you are the invitation and also you're doing it by example. So that is amazing.
It is sometimes, actually to be honest, sometimes I do ask myself, why am I doing it?
But what are you doing? I mean, can we hear a little bit about your professional life, you know? Well, hold on. Before we even get into professional, I'm very sure that our Cassia friends and our Cassia BC members are all dying to find out about the real Annie Chan. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Something that we can't find on Google.
Sure. All right, so hi everyone out there, especially our Cassia friends and Cassia members. Okay, my name is Annie, and I'm really very happy to be here with Christina today to have this little dialogue, right? So so a little bit more about myself. So I come from a small family. My parents, I've got an older brother, I've got a younger sister. So if you do your math, so that means that I'm the middle child. Okay, so people say there's this middle child syndrome. I don't want to know what it is, but yes, I'm a middle child. All right, so born, bred in Singapore, spent my entire life here in Singapore, and I basically is a true blue Singaporean, so a bit of Kiasuism in there, but at the end of the day, I'm very blessed my entire life. I mean, besides my failed marriage, that's another day. All right, I'm very blessed in terms of the work I get. From my very first job till the last job that I had was all through introduction. Someone recommended me the job, I got the job. So friends has been saying that, Annie, you're so lucky. We have to go through interviews, you just get introduced. I say, yes, but there's a fear in me that I don't share. And the fear is, can I live up to the expectation of the person who introduced me and the expectation of the person who hired me, right? So I struggle with this, but at the end of the day, I told myself, hey, let's just put that fear aside and just focus on what I can deliver. And yeah, so because of the blessing that I've been receiving, I feel that it's time to kind of like pay it forward. So if I can introduce person A to person B or connect them, I'm more than happy to do that, right? Although friends say, then you connect, you are not part of the equation. So I say that can come through another avenue, right? I mean, if I can connect, it's fine. I can be blessed back in another area.
No, I think that what you raised is actually extremely important, and I have to I have to really put it out there that you are such a strong woman. I mean, moving away from a failed marriage can sometimes really kill a person's spirit, but no, you didn't take it standing down, and you got up and you rebuilt and redesigned yourself. And coming back to the Kwansi model, which is what we as Asians are really, well, we function that way. Businesses drive that way, and that's how we actually like to associate, especially in the creative industries. We like to build businesses or do work with people that we know, like, and trust. And I can see the real passion in being that middle person where you're connecting people from left and right and, just building a larger community. And now we're blessed to have you in Cassia BC.
I'm happy to be part of the entire Cassia BC family.
Yes, thank you so much. And I mean, looking at how you've actually moved into creating this network and this community, can you tell us a little bit more about your professional life? You're from events. That was one of the hardest hit industries. How do you pivot? How did you stay relevant? I'm sure our Cassia friends and our members out there are actually wondering, how can they actually learn from your experiences? Could you share a bit about that?
Well, I've been event all my life. So, but I guess about 2-3 years ago, I kind of like slowed down a little bit. I guess age is catching up. All right, so I slowed down a little bit.
You don't look it.
I focused a little bit more on training. So I was only doing very regular clients project. So I guess when the pandemic hit, it still hit me because it's the hardest hit. It was like an announcement made by the government say all event has to stop. So much as you want to do what you can't do. So everything was on standstill. I have some plans to roll out my own events. All that has to be shelved. So on the one hand, I'm thankful I managed to pivot to do more training. But at the same time, I also have issue because the training I was focusing on was events training. So people tell me, Annie, who's going to come for your events course? I mean, no event's going to happen, right? And that's where I tell them, when times are good, you can send your team out for training. Now they can't do events, send them for training and get them ready for the future, right? So I managed to pivot, and I also went into design thinking, to redesign certain journey for my client, and also to make training experience better for my trainees as well.
No, I love that you actually went into design thinking, because it's redesigning the entire landscape of how we're going to be needing to do business in future. I mean, it's no surprise that, the whole world is actually on pause. It's not just us. And I think that also gives us strength, because at the end of the day, if we can actually band together and have this opportunity to redesign a new way to actually move businesses forward with design thinking, with a clear plan or a structure in mind, then you're right. We should be redesigning it for the future and rethinking how we actually want to build businesses again.
Correct.
So with that, do you have any tips for our friends, what you've learned along the way? How are we going to be able to redesign, with your inclusion of like design thinking and your life experiences that you've actually created and attained?
Sure, I mean, I'll be happy to share. As I said, right, because of COVID, we were forced to rethink, repivot, and see what to do in order to increase or balance our income. Yeah. So I was lucky because of the Kwansi model that I have. I was introduced to design thinking, and I think a few tips I'd like to share with our Cassia friends would be, in your entire journey, whether it's in life or whether it's in your career, what's most important is build strong relationship. It is this strong relationship that I had built over the years that opened a lot of doors for me during 2020. Right, so I'm very thankful for that to happen. But of course, at the end of the day, I also realized that though the relationship is there, people are still not obliged to help. Much as my skin is quite thick, right? I was just ask, can you help me? So previously, when you're much younger, it's painful, right? When a person say, no, I can't, and this and that. But now as you get a bit older, a bit more mature, you say that, well, they are not obliged. You can ask. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. You ask, you may get a yes, you may get a half yes. So you just ask, right? But I go in with the mindset that I will ask. If they can help, I'll be very thankful. If they can't, I will still thank you and I'll move to someone else. So I would say these are the two main tips. But the last one would be maybe have some plan B, plan C. So I'm thankful because of the training, which is my plan B. 2020 was still pretty decent for me. So if you don't have, I mean, even you're running a business, people will say you should focus. Yes, I agree. You should focus on your business and not be everywhere. But it's always good to still have some sort of a plan B. Because especially when you have a family to take care of, if your plan A fails, what's next? Short of telling your husband to go and work. Right, so always build good relationship. Don't feel that people are obliged to help you. And lastly, always try to have at least a plan B, so that you know what you can fall back off.
You know, what you said earlier on really took me to heart, right? I was thinking about how you said you always put yourself out there to ask for help. This is something that it's not a very Asian thing to do, right? I mean, not in Singapore at least, not in my area or my community. It's so difficult to ask for help. Yet you put yourself out there and receiving no. And I'm sure, you know, sometimes we also want to say no when people do ask for help, but we also very, what's the technical term for it? Paise, embarrassed to do it.
Yes.
And I think that all these things actually amount up because we also tend to overstretch ourselves. As you know, as a woman entrepreneur, it can be quite a lonely road, but yet you've actually done so well. And bringing all these networking and everything into BRIM, and that's your passion, and your plan B seems to be the passion project in your portfolio. I want to know a little bit about that. I feel really blessed to have you on so that I can talk about BRIM, right?
Yes. So my plan B is, interestingly, it's not something that brings income.
It's pro bono.
Yes, it's pro bono. So I've got some friends saying that, why are you doing that? And I tell them, say that, I can't really tell you why. You know, sometimes you just have that little voice in your head that you should be doing it, or, you know, and I said, I just feel that I have got to do it.
That's
right?
your give back project.
Yeah, so therefore, that's why in my entire work week, I will make sure that I schedule time for, like, whether it's at IWFCI or whether it's in my Rotary and so on and so forth, right? So, but I always tell myself, money is always there to be made, but sometimes giving back, there's only so much time you can do, right? So I took over the role of president of IWFCIS in April 2018. So this is my second term, because we have like 2-year terms. So this is my second term, and it's been a very steep learning curve when I took over, because the immediate past president was helming it for 11 years, and I've got big shoes to fill. All right, but I'm very thankful the board members that stayed on, that helped me. They were helping me to brave the entire storm, and so I'm very thankful for that. But they also helped me to kind of rebrand IWFCI. We came out with BRIM.
Yes.
Which I think this is what you would like to find out. What is BRIM, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So IWFCIS basically is a platform for women in business or professional women, right? So being a professional business platform, being a platform for professional women, so that represents the B in BRIM, right? So we have people asking us, say, oh, but I work for people. So where does the business come in? So I say, well, if you want to do well in your business, you sometimes kind of look at your role as a business. I mean, if you're going to look at it as a worker perspective, chances of growing is going to be very small. But if you see it as like a little business, you probably can grow better even in a paid job, a salary job. So that's where the B represents. But however, we tell all our members or women out there, if you want to do really well in your business or in your career, don't forget the other 3 verticals, which is relationship building, which is maintaining a right image, and lastly, which is very important for ladies, not saying it's not important for men, having the right mental attitude. as women, we wear so many hats. I mean, as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, as the girlfriend, you name it, we probably play that role. So how are you going to manage all and still run your business? So that spells BRIM. And on top of it is we want to impact women enough so that we kind of like brim overflow, and impact the people in their lives.
I like the story. There actually is, a backstory behind why it's BRIM, because we all know that you can only give when you give from your overflow. You have to love yourself first. And I love how you place mindset in there. That is so important. In fact, that's one of the most important things right now. Bracing 2020's pandemic must have been a huge thing for you. And I see how you're saying that you're very lucky because you had the entire board to help you out. Understandably, that was not a nice role to fit into as you just entered into presidency, right? Into your term for presidency.
Yes.
So this is going to be quite something to look out for.
Yes.
And I'm going to keep watching for that. Well, I understand that role that you play over there also helps us to be able to be part of that. And I also understand, and for our Cassia friends and members, that there is a dual membership included. Since we're already on the topic, how can we see this inclusion, and how are you going to bring, your expertise into Cassia BC?
All right. So when I was approached to be part of Cassia BC, honestly, I was a little bit hesitant because I'm really doing so many things, right? But I know Rudy. Rudy is a dear friend, so he explained what Cassia BC is all about, and I could see great synergy with IWFCIS. So I thought, okay, so perhaps being part of this whole family is going to help my business as well as help IWFCIS, because IWFCIS is still a business platform. Cassia BC is a business platform. And with this strategic partnership, I would like to bring forth the message to women out there who's watching and listening that being in business is not just about having coffee and having tea. All right? I mean, yes, we say men go and play golf. They discuss business. So maybe women, we're going to have tea, but it goes beyond that. All right? You want to be in business, you need to be more intentional to seek out business. All right, having coffee and tea can seek out business, but there's a lot more avenue out there. So with this collaboration with Cassia BC, all the members of Cassia BC will be affiliate member of IWFCIS and vice versa. So my members will also be affiliate members of Cassia BC.
Yes.
And with that, I'm hoping to give them more opportunity to reach out to the 16 countries that Cassia BC will be in.
I love the way that you didn't even use the word community, you used family. And that's what we're trying to build, right? We're trying to build our tribe. And it's amazing how you actually said, we're not just here to network, we're here to get things done. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we want Cassia BC to be, a place where we can get together, network, and get things done. Exactly. And be profitable.
Yes, exactly.
Because we're not here to just network, mind you. We're here to get things done and be profitable and grow our business, scale it across 16 countries.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the most important points that we need to make here.
Yes.
So, for our Cassia friends, if you're just logging in, we have here with us today Annie Chan from Redbox Events. And we're so blessed for her to be talking about all the tips and experiences that she's actually had over her years of experience in events. Also her inclusion and how we're going to have a dual membership with IWFCIS. And also, can we talk a little bit about what we have in store for the year for Cassia BC events business area?
Sure. So my involvement in Cassia BC would predominantly be under the event business, mm-hmm. right? Bringing across all my experience in events. So what we're going to do is, yes, we know events is a little slow, people are still a bit cautious about coming out, but we still need to get things done. You can't just keep saying that, oh, we are worried, we are fearful, we are afraid. You still need to get things done. So that's where the Cassia BC events business comes in. Mm-hmm. We wish to work with all the Cassia BC members to create events, to let them showcase their business, give them opportunity to network either through conference, through forums, through roadshows, you name it, we probably would create it. Either we create it or we co-create with our members. Because from design thinking, we always talk about co-creation. It's not just one party. So that's what we're going to do for my role in CASA BC. And I think that's something that the members can be looking forward to in June this year.
This is where we start the very interesting announcement.
Yes.
So, we've all been waiting for this. Are we going to have an event for CASA BC this year?
Yes, definitely. To all our CASA friends, CASA members, and even viewers who's watching this, CASA BC, we're going to host our very first annual business conference in June 2021. All right, so over at least about 3 weeks, there's going to be 6 different tracks that's running. There's going to be tourism, there's going to be there's going to be tourism, there's going to be trade, investment, farming and food tech,
Adult learning as well
and
as
ultimately, of course, womenpreneur, which will be spearheaded by IWSCIS.
I can't wait. In fact, I'm really looking forward to that IWSCIS one so that I can get to know all the other women entrepreneurs, mingle, network, and get business done.
Yes, exactly.
Annie Chan, you are true inspiration and really a woman with many hats. But, looking at what you've done, your passion with Brim and how you're going to bring in the events for CASA BC as well. And I'm sure that you're going to be spearheading this across all the 16 countries and having them running across all the, Central Asia and Southeast Asia. But what I'm actually trying to find out from you, since I have you here on the hot seat, is what else do you have up your sleeve? You've really tickled my curiosity. I want to find out more. What more does Annie Chan want to do?
All right, so whatever I've been sharing, right, if you look at it, you'll realize that most of it is pro bono. So I'm sure probably it's in your head, like, so how does this woman survive? Does she live on fresh air and love and water? So the answer is no, for sure. All right, so other than doing all this pro bono work, my other passion is actually, besides events, I also do training. And what I do is that I use my events experience of creating, designing experience for my client, for my events. I bring that into training. So instead of just going to class and just deliver, I attempt to, what we call, create a much more exciting journey for my trainees. So, and I borrow this from my learning in design thinking. So I encourage them to so-called design their own learning journey, right? So even if it's a 2-day course, let's do that. So my focus right now at this moment is actually doing events courses, events workshop, and I'm actually pivoting and incorporating design thinking into my courses and my workshop. And since I'm into design thinking, there are a couple more workshops that I'm doing. Very specifically will be design thinking for women. All right, design thinking for relationship.
Sign me up for that.
All right, and last one is design thinking for good, which basically focuses on the non-profit sector.
I think that lines up very well with CASA BC's role in this because, of course, besides being able to scale businesses across 16 countries in Central Asia and Southeast Asia, one of the key frameworks that we're going to place into the design models is the fact that they're going to be based off of the SDG and ESG frameworks, right?
Yes.
So that we can actually really learn how to build sustainable businesses as we move along.
Correct.
And I can definitely see how design thinking is fully entrailed into this entire expansive experience.
Correct.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to all the things that you're going to bring into this table.
I will look forward to having you.
I'm actually really cautious on time, I want to be respectful of your time as well as the time of our CASA friends. So, but I do want to find out from you, do you have any last words, advice that you can give to us from your vast experiences?
I guess in all my years of like my career, my personal life and all that, right? I always believe that it's very important to build good relationship, good friendship. I will say that my longest friendship was formed when I was 7 years old. I'm not going to say how I am right now. So since 7 years old, so me and a few of my girlfriends are still good friends. And my longest business relationship probably started like about 20 years ago. And some business relationship has actually evolved into friendship, right? So my point here is through your entire journey, use sincerity and authenticity to build relationship and build friendship. Don't just put a price tag. Don't just say, oh, because Christina can be of value to me, I'll be her friend. Person B is not going to be a benefit, I'm not going to be a friend. No, just be sincere to make that friendship, right? Because you really do not know when some of this friendship and relationship could be there to help you and to be there to offer you a helping hand when you really need it.
You framed it up so well. It's all about authenticity, right? Most businesses don't really work well when it actually grows out of that initial drive and passion when you're building the relationship and building the business, because it's contractual. When you're actually having a real authentic friendship that blossoms out of it, then and only then can the team, the collaborations, and the businesses that you set forth, be able to add value to your service, add value to your audience, and then and only then will the community bring it back to you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Annie. That was an amazing dialogue. Thank you for being so vulnerable and so generous with all your gems and all your advice. I'm sure Cassia members and Cassia friends are pleased to have caught today's podcast. So please stay tuned for more as we bring you all our founding partners. And we're going to show you how we can exactly help you in every aspect of business. And also, if any of this resonates with you and you want to get in touch with Annie, we're going to provide you with all her contact details below. And if you want to get in touch with Cassia BC, please feel free to look for our website links as well. So here is Annie Chan and Christina Chu signing off. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.